What I'm trying to encapsulate in this discussion is not necessarily transphobia, but cis supremacy, which really isn't used at all. And if you don't know what the word cis means, well, you were told that you were male or female, and that label fits you. That means you're cis. Um, I am not cis. I was told at birth that I was a female. I don't think babies should be given gender markers. I don't care what parents label babies. I care what the doctors label babies because I am a biological human and I exist. And you got the label wrong. So you should figure out how to get the label right. I don't think you can guess the gender of a baby. So you shouldn't be giving sex labels the same as they are gender labels, because then that confuses the parents, and the parents raise their children in these gender roles that also don't really seem to fit kids really, but forces in people into these gender roles primarily because if you force people into gender roles, they have a better chance to survive in a society that is driven by these gender roles. I don't know why I'm talking so slow, but I really am trying to not talk in a frustrated tone of voice. But I'm very frustrated with the state of our society and how trans people hate their own guts, and how trans people, most of them, would rather be cis than be trans, would have rather been born in the other body because they are taught that their body is wrong and that what they really want is the body of the other sex and not their own. Really, I do want to be the other sex or the other gender, whatever you want to call it. I would much rather be a cis female because it would really allow me to fit into society more. Unfortunately, I am a male, 125,000%. Testosterone really helps me be present in society without having panic attacks, which I have been fraught with since I was in kindergarten. I have tits, but my body is still male because my body belongs to me and I am a male. I have tits that I would like to get cut off. I would not have tits if I had gotten puberty blockers and testosterone, as uh, I didn't have puberty until I was 17. So when I was 17, would have gotten on these, wouldn't have titties, wouldn't have to pay for my tit removal. I wouldn't have to worry about having a human to come take care of me when I get my tit removal. I don't really have a human that I want to hang out with for that long. So fuck you, and be dependent on them. So anyway, tit removal. What else was I supposed to go? Oh, then some people are really, really afraid. They're really, really afraid, you sissies, that cis people are accidentally going to undergo trans puberty at the time that they would undergo cis puberty, otherwise known as endogenous puberty, and will get the wrong puberty, and that would be terrible. Terrible. Yet you are forcing all trans people into this box where they're going to have to go through the wrong puberty, probably be traumatized because of it, and then later in life go through the right puberty once they are over 18. And that's safer for you as a cis person because your cis culture is preserved while trans people continue to suffer. Like, what the fuck? Also, puberty blockers are reversible. You can take puberty blockers, figure out what you are, what you want to do, and then go off them, and endogenous puberty will go on. Fully reversible. So if you think that children do not know what they are, they don't know they're cis, they don't know they're trans, oh, maybe they should take puberty blockers and figure it out and wait. Instead of going through irreversible puberty that requires surgeries and everything else to fix. Like, this is just logic. This isn't really anything else. But I try to show logic, and people are like, oh, "You're threatening my culture." People don't really like when you threaten gender norms because they are socially conditioned to accept gender roles in order to better survive in society. So they think they have to embody these egos in order to for survival tendencies. So they're really upset. You really throw their reality awry when their ego is basically their gender role that they've learned to embody so well. If you take gender roles away, well, then they're left in this state where they're like, well, what the fuck am I? Who am I? What am I? If I don't have to abide by these stupid roles, these survival tendencies that allow me to be perceived as a strong dicked fella or a strong vagina fella, what am I? And that is why it is very hard for gender nonconforming people to survive from a materialistic standpoint because people don't want to be around them. It threatens those people's survival tendencies when you don't follow gender roles. And I would say that that's the majority of the reason why I conform to male gender roles because I'm already trans. I I do kind of want to go stealth sometimes, just so that I feel safe. But to say that trans people to be able to be respected and as the self that they want to be, the only way that they can do that, they feel, is to go completely stealth and hide their identity from those that they are close to. That's just like, so I hid who I was all my life. I pretended to be a cis woman. And now I've undergone gone. I now I'm on testosterone. You want me to pretend to be a cis man? So, like, and then I can be in normal society again. And that's why I didn't take testosterone for the longest time, because I don't like, that's just a shitty situation for me to be in. I don't want to pretend all my life. I'm not pretending. I am a man. I'm done pretending. I was done pretending when I said, listen, I'm done being a compulsive liar. I'm going to be who I am, and I'm not a female. You're wrong. And you've been wrong since I was born. You shouldn't be guessing what babies' genders are. You shouldn't be giving them these labels. You should give them something scientific. Because you're fucking doctors. So you should label them with their chromosomes. Something that you can do with a scientific test and figure out. Something that's not dependent on external factors that you haven't yet figured out at all. So anyway, I'm done pretending. And I think I haven't figured out exactly how to interact with society again, because I don't want to be hated because I'm trans. But I also want people to know that I'm trans, but I also don't want to be special because I'm trans. I don't want to be the trans kid. I just want to be myself, a person who happens to be trans. I want for that to be okay. You know? I just want it to be normal. But, yeah, I just would like to tell you that you probably have lots of cis supremacist tendencies. If you think that babies should be labeled with gender markers and that's normal and not cis supremacist at all, that's cis supremacist. If you think that trans people should undergo a transition later in life, that's cis supremacist. If you think that, if you're scared of trans people in any way, that's transphobia. If you think that trans women shouldn't be allowed to play sports, that's cis supremacist. You know why? Because trans females should be able to get the same puberty as their cis female counterparts, therefore developing identically to them, and then they won't have any competitive advantage. You know? Like, even their height growth will be stunted, which is one of the reasons I'm kind of glad that I didn't get puberty blockers, because I'm the tallest trans man in the world that I know of. I'm 6'4", 6'5" if I stand up straight. But that's not to say, like, for height to be a secondary sex characteristic, it's a supremacist. Unless you're saying sex is different from gender, which is fine for me, but you can't label, if sex is different from gender, they can't have the same words to identify them, because they don't map one to one. I have XX chromosomes and am a male, so you can't say that XX chromosomes are females, because I am a male. I have a male uterus. I am a seahorse. And that's just the way things work. One time I tried to explain this to a girl on Instagram, and she told me that you can name a car a boat, but it won't have the necessary characteristics to be a boat. And I said, namely, it wouldn't be able to float in water. And I said, well, one, we could get to a place where the world has become overrun by water, in a global warming type of situation. And in that case, we might have some cars that function similarly to how boats are. But bar that, there's nobody in the world currently that has a mindset, a reality, where they would name a car, everything with the necessary characteristics for a car, a boat. So there's no need to adopt that language consideration. However, there are a whole group of people called trans individuals and non-binary individuals who have a different conception of gender and a different conception of their body, and they should be graced by the social ego god, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, society, with the respect of being considered biological human beings that make sense in the grand scheme of biology, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. The cis supremacist science is what I call it. And like I said, I'm not saying this from a place of hate of cis supremacists. I don't hate cis supremacists, because then I would have to hate myself. I'm simply saying that there's lots of things that we could do in order to help trans people not want to murder themselves and not hate themselves quite as much as most trans people do today. Going on trans help forums makes me really sad, so I cannot do it because of how terrible trans folks feel about themselves. It is very sad, very, very sad, that I have to watch my people hate themselves quite as much as they do, because being trans is fucking cool. Like, just from a scientific biological perspective, the phenomenon of transness is dope. It is cool. And trans people, trans kids especially, should feel like they are not just an outcast, but something that is really beneficial to their society, and society should welcome them with opening arms and be like, oh my god, you're trans, that's so cool, that's so cool. Imagine how much you could learn from trans people if you are willing to open your mind to transness. Because I promise you, the trans experience is something that you want to experience, even if you're cis. To just understand it is cool as fuck. So just try. And I promise you, you'll learn a lot. Because I know I have. Learning who I am. And it's opened more opportunities for me to explore different parts of myself. So just try to think outside of the gender norms that you believe, and think outside of the words that you believe to be true. And who knows who you'll end up being. It shouldn't be scary to let go of your current ego. It should be an opportunity to get a better one. And that's what I'll leave you with today. Please have a wonderful day. Bye.